let's move along now and say hello to a fellow Canadian. Unfortunately, found out recently that he was released from the UFC, had an 8-3 record inside the octagon, one of the top middleweights for a very long time, and we have not heard much from him. He's quite active on social media, but had not heard from him in an interview setting. So now let us say hello to the one and only Elias Theodorou, who is repping the 2019 NBA champion Toronto Raptors. Well done, Elias. How are you?
I'm fantastic. My city just won a championship.
Yes. Congratulations. Are you in Toronto right now?
That I am.
Wow. What is the scene like?
The vibe's just amazing. Like it started, I know people that went out at 6 a.m. and have been out there since there, and even a couple people that tented out the day before. But, just good vibes. I think, you would know it as much as anyone. The fact that we were just happy to be there, and obviously now to take the whole thing, it's an amazing feat.
Wait, so did I take you away from the parade? Now I feel horrible.
No, I could jump back in. Obviously, I got to take it in and bumped into a bunch of, just fans in general. Like some people, I took some pictures with people myself here and there, but got to crack one of these bad boys a little bit later.
That's all. So you went outside?
Yeah, 100%. Jumped right in there.
Did you catch any Drake sightings? Any Aubrey sightings?
Obviously, that was right hard in Nathan Silk Square, so that's like a fortress of solitude, if you will. So I was able to go throughout the rest of the route and just take it all in.
All right. Well, I do appreciate you doing this. It's like a national holiday in Canada, so
yes.
That's awesome that you took out the time. So let's talk about what happened. Were you surprised when you got the call that they were releasing you?
Well, yeah, definitely surprised, considering I came off of a 3-fight win streak before that. And, obviously there's the old adage, you're as good as your last performance, and I lost my last one. But, being with a company for 5+ years, you'd expect, obviously, maybe another opportunity, especially considering the fact that I had recently gone through the process of renegotiating my contract leading up to it. But obviously, the UFC has the right, it seems, to fast track promotional agreement, and that's where I find myself. But like I said, with obviously the Raptors winning, I'm really excited for the future. As you mentioned, I was 8-3 in the UFC, and I'm also 17-3 moving forward as a professional athlete, and just excited for the landscape. I've been in a committed relationship for 5 years in regards to MMA, and I'm excited. I'm now single and ready to mingle.
That is a very good way of putting it. How did you find out the news?
I got an email. Well, obviously, my management talked with them beforehand, and they passed me along the information that it was essentially final the decision, and then eventually there was a subsequent email in regards to just confirming and kind of dating, all the legal mumbo jumbo in regards to that it officially was a partnership that was done.
When you left the cage in Ottawa a few weeks ago, did the thought ever cross your mind that this could be it for you?
No, obviously in the capacity of, it wasn't a fan favorite and it wasn't my best showing. But I think especially considering, my record speaks for itself. The fact that I was coming off of a 3-fight winning streak before that. And, again, being able to be not only a representative of mixed martial arts for the last 5 years, but also a Canadian representative. In the top 15, top 13 is where I was. And the gentleman that I lost to was 8th best in the world. So, again, like I mentioned, obviously it was their decision in the capacity of fast tracking our promotional agreement. But, leading up to it, it was a thought process in my mind, in the potential of going elsewhere. And, I kind of jokingly mentioned it in the capacity of, single ready to mingle in regards to different avenues and different partnerships and different organizations that I could go and basically explore. But it's the same capacity of, obviously I thought about the idea of free agency leading into this, and obviously they made the decision. But going back to the idea of a relationship, when someone ends a relationship with you and you were thinking of it beforehand, it's just one of those things where they just jumped the gun rather than you did. So I'm excited for the future, honestly. I'm happy and healthy. And, I have different avenues that I can explore as an athlete and as a individual, as a mixed martial artist. Obviously now, potentially on which organization I go and partner with. I have my banner in my shorts back as an avenue to partner with sponsorships, and I have partnerships that are global. So whether it's North America or even potentially Asia, they will see value in regards to creating those same partnerships and same campaigns that I've been doing throughout my UFC career, and now potentially in other organizations. And just really excited for something different. And I was motivated as an athlete and motivated as a UFC fighter after my last fight, but now I'm even more motivated in regards to moving forward as the opportunities that are at hand. And I fell in love with martial arts as a fan first and foremost. So I love what I do, and it doesn't necessarily need to be a UFC fighter. I'm a mixed martial artist, and that's what I'm really excited about moving forward.
Since this news came out around 3 or 4 weeks ago, have you received offers from any promotions?
Yeah, definitely. People have already reached out through different channels, and there's opportunity to start those conversations and see where the next potential 5+ years of my career can go. And there's many different directions, even things and partnerships and opportunities that I don't even know yet. It doesn't necessarily have to be potentially a one-off in regard, or sorry, a direction in regards to a different promotion. There's different avenues with different potential partners to set up, partnerships and potential not organizations, but next steps in my mixed martial arts career.
Has this forced you at all to take a look at your career, to take a look at your fighting style? Do you feel like you need to change the way you approach fights? Because 8-3, just coming off a winning streak, usually those fighters don't get released from the UFC. Do you feel like you have to look inside yourself and say, look, maybe wins aren't enough in this sport? Maybe you have to do impressive things, even if you get knocked out. Oh, if you're making people get out of their seat, that's good enough. We've seen this before. We've seen this with the likes of John Fitch and Jake Shields and Yushin Okami in the past, guys who had winning records, very much like yourself, former title contenders, and they were released after one loss. Have you had that internal debate?
Yeah, no, like I mentioned, that was something I internally had after the last fight, right? So whether you win or lose, you have to go back to the drawing board in some capacity. And obviously, my last fight, it's the case where I was in many ways looking to be the matador against the bull, because Derek Brunson normally for the last give or take 10 fights has been running out of the gate like a bat out of hell. Obviously, he adjusted and had that same internal conversation in our bout, and it didn't work. I tweeted it out and kind of have talked about it since, but I prided myself in being able to be unorthodox enough to basically, outsmart people with my unconventional style. And in doing so, rather confusing them or doing different things that they wouldn't expect to work. And I was able to be victorious in that aspect. And part of it also was I definitely looked at mixed martial arts and UFC as a sport. And now, obviously, there is definitely, more entertainment possibly as the sphere, and especially with the specific company that I was working with beforehand. But moving forward, I'm really excited to reinvent myself, both as a martial artist, as an individual. I've had my identity in one direction for quite some time, but I'm looking to change both in the cage and out.
Will you continue being a ring boy for Invicta?
Yes, of course.
Okay.
Of course.
I feel like that's the big question in all this.
Yes, there you go. But beyond that, I plan on fighting both in the cage and for fighting what I believe in the cage and out. And that's obviously as the inaugural ring boy for Invicta, but also in the capacity of my advocacy in cannabis. I've been fighting to be the first professional athlete allowed to medicate with cannabis in competition, and I've been doing that with a U.S. company. And no longer with a U.S. company, there is now avenues to do that same advocacy in a Canadian sphere. And I'm really excited because that opens up many more opportunities in the regulatory aspect with a potential partner and potential organizations that are open to my advocacy and create history, not only for myself, but all other athletes moving forward.
Wow, that is great. Well done. How many more years do you even want to fight for?
I don't want to put an end date in it, because I think the day that you start putting an expiry date on it, you've already have your days are numbered. I love what I do as a martial artist, and as the subsequent stuff that comes with it, as a martial artist and as a athlete, and also as a businessman, if you will. So I'm excited to hit the hit the drawing board back in the gym, but also talk to my management and see what next steps are involved, what next steps are open. I think beyond the original aspect of organizations, I think there are many different partners that I can work with moving forward, and kind of do something different and do something neat.
Do you want to get back to the UFC? Is that the goal, or do you not
I
care?
definitely No, I obviously, I would love to put myself in a position where I am undeniable to any organization, and I have nothing but positive, positive memories and positive connection with the UFC from my experience. Obviously, if you're looking at it as a purely business aspect, I kind of understand where they went. If you looked at what my paycheck was in some ways, they in many ways replaced me with six other UFC fighters that are, just starting their contracts all over again. So I think there's economical aspects that they kind of looked in different directions. And if I make myself undeniable in every facet of my ability as an athlete and beyond, I think all organizations will recognize my worth.
Do you hold any ill will towards the UFC for this decision?
Well, obviously, feeling the almost rug pulled out of you in regards to your identity in some capacity. Sure, it kind of hurt at the moment, but honestly, no real ill will in any way, shape, or form. I assume it's a business decision on their end, and like I said, I'm excited for the future and excited to do different things that no longer are restricted. Even though how great of an opportunity and great of a platform the UFC was, there were some restrictions in my identity as an athlete and as an individual. So I'm excited to partner in many different ways that I don't even know yet.
Are you close to signing with a new promotion?
I wouldn't necessarily say in the idea close with signing with something, but I'm talking to everyone and anyone in regards to potential partners. I want to fight and fight soon, and that's the next steps that I'll be taking with my management.
All right. Well, I wish you the best, Elias. Thank you very much for coming on and clearing this up for us and giving us your side of things. A very, dare I say, Canadian stance to all of this, right? A very diplomatic and positive take on it all, and I respect that. It's a great time to be a Canadian, Elias. You have nothing to be worried about or ashamed of. We are the champions of the world. You hear me? The champions of the freaking world, okay?
Yes, we are.
Enjoy the party, my friend.
Thank you.
All right, there he is. Elias Theodorou, the Spartan. Looking forward to what is next for him in the very near future. And it sounds like he will be continuing his career, so that is good news